there saying if we move to driver-only operation like they have in many European countries, that could, of course, fund big wage rises. But, of course, that would, I suppose, mean job losses, fewer people running the trains, even though it would be more efficient and perhaps lead to a more cheap service to run and higher wages or whatever. There's an economic case to be made there, but I suppose it's a harder political one to make.
Well, of course. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been on the DLR, which are driverless completely. I mean, how long before the rail network is completely automated? Because obviously they're closing tickets, booths like all the time. So this is but like your guest just said, this has been going on for over 50 years. So I don't understand, every time there's a rail strike, we hear about the same issues again. So tell me why each consecutive government for the last 50 years hasn't been able to get to the bottom of this and somehow sort these problems out, because they're not going anywhere. And once again, here we are on Boxing Day, hardly any trains. I mean, I'm here in Devon, but I wanted to get the train, but I drove down because I have to be back in London. And I just wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to make it or not. It's affecting, obviously, Boxing Day sales. It's affecting the economy, and along with the cornucopia of other strikes. I mean, what the hell's going on right now?
Yeah, is there a bit of a problem? You mentioned that you had to drive down to Devon. Do you think there's a bit of a problem for the unions down the line, that people will just stop relying on trains? We know that people aren't commuting as much as they were anymore. People are predominantly using the train for leisure purposes. And is there a point where people think, well, my travel card for the month isn't getting me enough trains, I'm just going to stop using them? Could we be looking at the beginning of the end, maybe even, of the railway industry as we know it?
Well, no, I don't. Well, this is the thing. I mean, there are two reasons why I wanted to drive down. First of all, even with the price of petrol, it was cheaper for me on my own in a car to drive down and to drive back again. So that's it took me 5 hours to get down here, and it'll be 5 hours to get back tomorrow. But again, it was my train ticket was over £100, and also I wasn't to know whether they were going to run or not. However, one thing I will say, especially to the viewers, is that check your local train company, because there's all this talk about there's no trains running at all, whereas sometimes there are. Sometimes it's a skeleton service, and there's one per hour, etc. So don't just give up because you've heard it on the news. Definitely go and check what's going on. But again, as we're saying with cost of living crisis, surely getting a train is supposed to be cheaper than driving, when literally I'm just case in point where it is not at all.
It feeds into this sort of sense, this general malaise, and this sense that nothing's working in this country, that it would almost be better for no trains to be running at all than have the hope of buy a ticket and then it just doesn't turn up. GBNews commissioned polling last week that suggested more than half, or at least the plurality of people in this country, no longer agree that things work in this country. I wonder if this is a time for the government to get more radical. They've proposed what are called a minimum service level requirement legislation in order to enforce, really, a minimum service on the railways. Do you expect that could be popular?
I think, obviously, you speak to the person on the street and they see, this grim outlook. They see cost of living crisis. They see all these strikes, and of course they would think, oh, Britain's broken, Britain's not working. But I think there is some sort of there's politics in there as well. There's obviously the Tories, their reputation is in the doldrums at the moment. So who's to say that the unions aren't sticking the knife in right at the right time to make them look even worse than they are? But at the same time, it's a perfect storm of disasters all over the country, and where can we turn? We can't get a train. We can't we can't get any birthday cards. We can't can we even expect an ambulance if Granny falls over down the stairs? What is going on, literally?
Is there an argument